Welcome to the map of consciousness. Let's center ourselves. Take 3 big breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Releasing from the heart, in through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out to the mouth. Keep your attention in your heart center. Feel this green ball of energy moving, spinning, pulsating. Every day I try to stay present in my heart center, always bringing back my attention there. As I'm present in my heart, I'm connected with my soul, with truth, with wisdom. Because the heart knows what's best. Thank you. Let's get started. Map of consciousness. So it starts at 200. Everything above is in the loves. Everything below is in the fears. As we go up over 200, slowly we start our ascension towards service to others. As we go down below 200, slowly we start descending to our service to self. And we come here in the 3rd density for this choice to polarize towards going into the 4th density negative or 4th density positive in the next reincarnation when we're ready. Otherwise we come back in the 3rd density. More than 80% of the planet is living at 200, never taking any type of choice. They're subjective to receive what they need to do in their life. They're waiting for higher power, government, boss, manager to tell them how to be, how to act, how to behave. That's why the corporations, the government are using fear to control those beings. They are easily subjective to any type of information. They didn't take control of their own inner power, linked to the solar plexus, which is linked to the 3rd density. We're building courage out of the solar plexus with a strong base on the root chakra. And after that, inner power through the heart center. So as we go up to courage consciousness, we start believing in ourselves, disciplined, confident. We know our personality. We know our skills. We know our offering in any type of setting. As I go towards the end of courage consciousness at 240, it's the whole self-development industry. It's the whole business mindset. I might have a good heart, physical heart, but my energical heart is not fully open yet, the first layer. Towards the end of courage at 240, the heart is between 6 to 7%, still dealing with resistance to fully break the heart wall. And then once we break the heart wall, we jump to neutrality, a brand new reality where we stop the hustle and we sit back, give away the steering wheel, and we live out of trust of the heart center. Trust in our soul, trust in the universe, trust in others. Slowly at neutrality, we learn to use the heart center to communicate with the soul and higher being, because it's through the heart that I'm able to translate vibration, light codes, light language, coming from the 99% of the universe that the physical world is not able to experience. The heart is bound into time-space, therefore not bound by time. The heart knows before things will happen here in space-time. At neutrality, the heart is still unstable. We close it here and there on a weekly basis as we learn how to be more grounded in the heart. Towards the end of neutrality at 300, I start integrating living out of the heart, and I start trying to see how I can live a new lifestyle of being in service to others. Becoming some kind of a healer. I don't need to do this as a career, but I can start helping my family members, my friends, through seeing them how to live out of the heart. Helping them raise their frequencies, raise their consciousness, expand their energy field, be present with their soul. At willingness, it's where we start their service to others at 51%. Service to others, 49% service to self. At willingness, we start integrating the healer mindset. As we go in the street, people, they feel our energy field and they just tend to share their own life problems, worries. And more we realize how energetically we're able to hold space for others. Before that, it is very hard to hold space for others. It is draining. But at willingness, we have the heart capacity to do it without being drained. At willingness, the heart is very strong. We stay open in the heart on a weekly basis. As we transition towards acceptance, slowly the feminine and the masculine energy are merging. At courage, they might be at 45-55%. One dominant, one submissive, always the case. As we go up to neutrality, they start merging a bit more, maybe 46-54. At willingness, something around 47-53, sometimes even 48-52. And then towards the end of acceptance consciousness, they merge at 50-50% as we integrate the divine feminine and the divine masculine, a mature aspect of those two energies. We are centered, grounded in those two energies. The inner relationship is equal, balanced. There's not a dominant one that is trying to take over the submissive one. And when this happens, we fully accept all the part of ourselves. We accept our physical body, all our chakras, our two energies, feminine, masculine. We accept our soul. We accept our higher self. We accept others. We accept our parents. We accept anything and everyone. Anything that can happen in our life that can be a harsh catalyst, we see truth behind it and we can accept it easily. Towards the end of acceptance consciousness, the Kundalini start moving freely as those two energies are merging. We don't need to push through every breath work, breaking through the block or unstable chakras, the Kundalini. They are just open, so the flow of the Kundalini can just pass easily, like a beautiful river passing through without any disturbance, any big rocks. And then when we finish our integration of acceptance, we move to reason consciousness, where we have full understanding of the chakras, the level of consciousness, the trap emotion, and how they affect the body, the organs. We have full understanding of the healing process. We have full understanding of human behavior. We have so much understanding that, in a sense, we become a physical representation of God, of someone that can heal anyone at any time. Therefore, at the beginning of reason, we can easily get stuck in a heavy, subtle, spiritual ego. And a lot of spiritual teachers got stuck there until 440. And it's at 450 that we're able to break through the last big layer of the ego to fully integrate all our journey towards the path to love. At the end of reason consciousness, we start removing ourselves from understanding. We start removing ourselves from speaking about the spiritual journey, about love, and we embody this frequency that the mind cannot really understand. It is too complicated for the mind to fully understand the 99% that is outside of this physical reality. It is impossible to jump to consciousness above because the heart needs to be break per layers. Once we break a heart layer, it is painful physically. Like there's so much tension that has been stored in the physical body for years that once we break a heart layer, it becomes swollen. We need to start tapping. We need to start massaging at each layer, at each level of consciousness. It takes around 10 to 15 times to live a new level of consciousness to integrate it as a baseline. Our baseline means that that's where we live most of the time. We come back in our baseline on a weekly basis. That's where we feel comfortable to live at. Someone might have gone through all the layers, all the levels of consciousness, all the way to acceptance, and a big life event, big traumatic event, bring this person back to pride or courage. And this person needs to overcome again each layer of the heart. So there might be a moment in our life where we're in fully openness, acceptance of everything, but there's a new big catalyst that we were never able to overcome in the past, something that we could never expect, and it's hitting us like a big stone, and then just shatter the whole energy field. It shatter our comprehension of consciousness, and we just close. We lose faith. Slowly, over time, we're able to go back. It is easier the second time, and it gets easier and easier. It's like a millionaire that worked maybe 10 years to make his first million, and then 2 years later he loses everything, and somehow, well, he decides to get back at it, and the second time it's way easier. It takes him like 1 or 2 years to make $1 million, because in the first time he built all the skills, all the tools, he knows the game, he's acting from experience. I need to share with you that my understanding of the map of consciousness is very different than most people. Even at some point, I realized, or I thought, that I might be wrong with the map of consciousness. I really tried everything to match the teaching of Dr. Hawkins with my understanding of the map of consciousness. And there is some difference. Example, Dr. Hawkins put people like Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton into reason consciousness. For me, it doesn't make any sense, because every layer of the map is the openness of the heart center. And back then, those people were not really working on the energy field, on the chakras. They were not working with their heart center. They were in reason of the mind, but they were not in reason of the heart. They were stuck in logic. For me, being stuck in logic is still courage consciousness, 240. So that's where I put those people. Somehow, my understanding of the map is spiritual aspect of the map of consciousness, where we're integrating chakras and layers of the heart center into the map of consciousness. Dr. Hawkins was not working with chakras to read people on the map of consciousness. So there's nothing wrong or right. There's no better way to interpret the map of consciousness. They're just different realities. And in this course, I'm going to be able to teach you my reality, my interpretation, that give a lot of clarity on what is my next move, what are my next things that I need to do to align my chakras and to expand my energy field, to become more present with my soul, to become less in the mind, to have less thoughts per day. And at the end of the day, that's what we're all looking for. It's more peace, more calmness, more bliss, more ecstasy, feeling whole within. When we go below 200 at pride consciousness, It's people that have at least 2 hyperactive chakras, most likely the heart, or 4 underactive chakras. It's people that are either using their ego to prove themselves or using their ego to be a victim. Both strategies are to get attention from the wounded ego. The ego is so wounded that somehow it's trying to cover up to get the love that it didn't receive when it was young. So at pride consciousness, we trap harsher emotion like betrayal, unworthy, heartache, terror, shock. And those combination of harsher emotion from mom and dad together make us stuck in the fears. And it's not because we're a spiritual person, it's not because we're working our chakras that we cannot be stuck in fear. I actually saw a few spiritual teachers being stuck at pride consciousness, using their spiritual teaching, their spiritual journey to boost their sense of identity, to boost their sense of pride. Sadly, that's where the world is going as spirituality is becoming a big trend right now. As we go down to anger consciousness, it's the people like Andrew Tate, Dan Peña, Bill Gates, that think that they are saviors of the world. They are in their mind thinking that they are the one that needs to change the world. But the world doesn't need to be changed. Gaia is a soul that is way more conscious than all of us combined. No matter what humanity is doing, Gaia will always be able to adjust, to transition to our next evolution. When we go down to desire consciousness, we're talking about people that are manipulating to get what they want. They might look intelligent, attractive, but somehow they are able to control other people at anger and pride consciousness. Because as we go down in the level of the fears, we build more and more ego, we build more and more force to control others that are lost in lower ego. For example, Hitler was at fear consciousness in my interpretation of the map. And he was able to control everyone in the fears. So everyone desire, anger, pride, and everyone at the beginning of courage consciousness, which was most of the population back then. And if we continue going down, we can see at grief consciousness Rasputin, which is one of the few human beings that were able to ascend into the 4th density negative, currently acting as a representative of the road to self, reincarnated as a reptilian, continuing his path of controlling humanity. To ascend to the road to self, we need to be polarized at 95% negative, which is very, very, very hard. Hitler was polarized at 80% negative. To ascend to the service to others, we need to be at least 51% positive. And as we grow our polarization here, it gets easier to transition in the next reincarnation. We can only transition every harvest. So the time of harvest is right now. It started in 2012. It's the 3rd harvest of Mother Earth. And it's the last one as we transition to the 4th density positive. In the next lessons, we're going to go in depth from pride to reason consciousness, where most of my clients of the soul audits were living at pride and courage consciousness, a very low few at neutrality, super rare at willingness, and I think I got 2 or 3 at acceptance consciousness out of more than 400 paid audits. So I'm going to be passing more time with the one at pride and courage to really understand how to overcome those levels, to at least start moving, living out of neutrality consciousness, where we are fully connected with the heart center, starting our communion with the soul. See you in the next lesson.